All praise is due to Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon our beloved Prophet, his family, his companions, and his followers. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum to you all. We previously spoke about how the Quran is made easy for us, not only in reading and memorizing it, but also by following it through the example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who embodied the message of the noble Quran. Now, our topic is discussing what is the status of the human in the Quran. The human is the axis which the Quran revolves around. And Imam Mohammed Abdullah says that the Quran is a speech to the human about the human. That makes the status of the human high in the view of the Quran. Allah the Almighty says in Surah Al-Isra, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea and provided for them of the good things and preferred them over much of what we have created with definite preference. From this verse, you notice that Allah says all of this, says this of all of the children of Adam, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. They have been preferred over much of Allah's creation. Allah has approached the human from many different aspects. Firstly, from the aspect of aqidah, or belief, in a way to be guided to Allah and to be introduced to their Creator, and then to purify their minds and hearts from myths, superstitions, and acts that degrade the human, such as being a slave to a rock or an animal or a statue. How can a human take a creature that is even below the human himself or herself, whether it's an animal or plant or planets, or even those that worship the angels? Even the angels are even lower, are in lower status than the righteous human. How can a human take these as their God? That's why Islam came to honor humans by guiding them to their Creator and making them a slave to Allah and Allah only. This is one of the main focuses of the Quran. The Quran also approached the human by honoring their mind, by activating their intellect, and to make them think about the creation of the heavens and the earth, and guiding them to the most honorable thing in them, which is their mind. That is which makes them, the human, a thinker, which makes the human a learner, which makes them an owner of will, an owner of choice, the ability to choose between truth and falsehood, as demonstrated in many parts of the Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Insan, which means a human, and we have guided him the way, whether be he grateful or disbelieving. Or in Surah Al-Balad, where Allah says, and we guided him to the two plateaus, or the two ways. Or in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah says, and say, this is the truth from your Lord. Whoever wills, let them believe, and whoever wills, let them disbelieve. So the reason behind honoring the human is their mind, which the Quran urges to use and seek out the world around us, observe and contemplate. Another important aspect concerning humanity that the Quran addresses is morality. There is no good except that the Quran encourages it, and there is no immorality in this world except that the Quran forbids us from it. This is how a human is elevated and strives for perfection, by being truthful, kind, good, merciful, and trustworthy, and by renouncing anything that makes them animalistic, like being captive to their desires, to their gluttony, their greed and lust, to disavow cruelty, arrogance, oppression, which the Quran came to cleanse us from. So after the Quran gets the human to know their Creator and be a servant of Allah and frees them and their mind from the delusions and superstitions, it adorns the human with the beauty of the morals and character. The fourth aspect that the Quran cares about in this life that the human is living is their relationship with others, the relationship of the human with whoever is around them, the best of relationships. For example, Allah says, and وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, and cooperate in good and righteousness, and do not cooperate in sin and aggression. And then Allah regulated these relationships with legislation. What is allowed in these relationships and what is not allowed in marriage, in selling, in buying, in relationships with parents, siblings, neighbors, spouses, children, and even a person's relationship with oneself. All these worldly aspects of the human have been addressed in the Quran, but also did not neglect the hereafter and our relationship with the hereafter. The Quran mentions how this world is just a short spurt of enjoyment that will come to an end, and that the real life is in the hereafter. There will be a reckoning on the last day, and that we will be held accountable for our actions. The Quran mentions everlasting paradise and gardens in the hereafter to look forward to by accepting the message of the Quran, living your life with integrity and good action. The Quran also warns of hell and the punishments that await the evildoers, the criminals, the oppressive, and those that spread mischief and corruption on this earth, and the things that humans should avoid to be saved from such a bad fate. Not only us as individuals are held accountable, but also us as societies as well. And Allah cites the stories of those before us and how they ended and their demise. The people of Ad, Thamud, Tubba, the people of Lut, the Achaeans, and the Pharaoh and his aides, how their civilizations ended in many different ways, whether it was by flooding, earthquake, volcanic eruption, or even blizzard. Even societies, along with the values that they hold, will one day end. So on the day of resurrection, not only will humans be held accountable as individuals, but also as a collective. Wherever you look throughout the Quran, you will find that it relates some way or another to the human being. Some may think that the Quran is only a direct speech to humans, but we'll find that is more than that. But it's also a speech about all aspects of the human, whether it is about developing the correct belief and creed, or honoring the human intellect, building character, strengthening proper relationships, or guiding them to what is best for them in this world and the hereafter. In other words, the subject of the Quran is the human being, and it revolves around the life of the human being. May Allah make us of those who ponder and implement the Quran in our lives. Thank you.